On a quiet morning in March 2024, Barry Griffiths, a 57-year-old retired factory worker from Llanelli, Wales, set out to perform what seemed like a mundane kitchen task. What unfolded next was a sequence of events so bizarre and tragic that it left investigators, medical professionals, and the public grappling with how ordinary life can unravel in an instant. Barry Griffiths was no stranger to adversity. A stroke in 2019 had left him with partial paralysis on his left side, drastically reducing his mobility and forcing him into early retirement. Friends and family described him as a quiet, determined man who refused to let his disability define him. He lived alone in a modest terraced house, relying on a walking stick and sheer grit to navigate daily tasks. His sister, Elaine, later told reporters, Barry hated asking for help. He'd say, "I'll manage, even if it takes me twice as long." On March 14, 2024, Barry decided to prepare a simple meal, hamburgers. He had purchased a pack of frozen beef patties from a local supermarket days earlier. The patties, frozen solid and fused together in a single block, proved difficult to separate. Barry grabbed a 6-inch serrated kitchen knife, a common household item, to wedge between the patties. Due to his limited grip strength and balance issues from his stroke, Barry struggled to stabilize the slippery, rock-hard block of meat. As he pressed the knife downward, the blade suddenly skidded off the frozen surface. The force of the slip drove the knife upward into his abdomen, piercing his stomach and severing a major artery. Blood loss was immediate and catastrophic. Paramedics arriving at the scene found Barry conscious but in shock, slumped against the kitchen counter with the knife still embedded in his torso. He reportedly muttered, "I didn't think, I just wanted to make lunch." The coroner's report painted a grim picture of the mechanics behind the accident. The serrated blade entered just below the ribcage, tearing a 3-inch vertical laceration through the stomach wall and nicking the splenic artery. Barry's weakened left side left him unable to brace himself or recoil from the slip. His right hand, gripping the knife, bore the full force of the mishap. Alone in the house, Barry could not call for help immediately. He collapsed within minutes, and despite neighbors hearing faint cries, responders arrived too late to prevent fatal blood loss. South Wales police ruled the death a freak accident, emphasizing that no foul play was involved. Detective Inspector Gareth Thomas stated, "This was a perfect storm of reduced mobility, slippery conditions, and an everyday task gone horribly wrong." The tragedy sparked an outpouring of grief in Llanelli, a tight-knit Welsh town where Barry had lived his entire life. A local pub, the Stag's Head, held a fundraiser for his funeral costs, drawing hundreds of residents. His niece, Megan Griffiths, shared on social media, "Uncle Barry was the kindest soul. To lose him over something so ordinary, it's unbearable." As Elaine Griffiths tearfully concluded at his memorial, "Barry fought so hard after his stroke. To lose him this way, it's cruel. But maybe his story will save someone else." On a crisp autumn evening in October 2024, the rural town of Signal Mountain, Tennessee, buzzed with excitement as families gathered for an annual Halloween hayride hosted by a local farm. What began as a night of festive scares and laughter turned into a harrowing nightmare when 12-year-old Ethan Cooper lost his life in a bizarre accident that shocked the community and sparked urgent calls for safety reforms. Ethan Cooper was a vibrant 7th grader at Signal Mountain Middle School, known for his love of pranks, baseball, and horror movies. Described by his teachers as the class clown with a heart of gold, Ethan had spent weeks planning his Halloween costume. A zombie scarecrow complete with tattered overalls and glow-in-the-dark face paint. His parents, Mark and Sarah Cooper, recalled his enthusiasm. He couldn't wait to jump out and scare the hayriders. It was his favorite part of Halloween. The Coopers, lifelong residents of Signal Mountain, had attended the farm's hayride for years. This year, Ethan had convinced his parents to let him join the Haunted Trail volunteer crew, where teens and staff staged spooky surprises along the route. The hayride began at dusk, with families boarding a tractor-pulled wagon adorned with cobwebs and jack-o'-lanterns. The route wound through a wooded trail, where volunteers like Ethan hid behind trees or popped out from shadows to startle passengers. Ethan was stationed near a curve in the trail, where the tractor slowed to navigate muddy ruts left by earlier rain. His role was to leap from behind an oak tree, wave a flashlight, and shout as the wagon passed. As the tractor approached, Ethan sprinted toward the wagon but lost his footing in the slick, rain-soaked mud. Witnesses reported hearing him yell, "Watch out!" before his feet slid out from under him. Ethan fell directly into the path of the tractor's rear wheels. The driver, unaware of the accident due to the wagon's noise and poor visibility, continued moving forward. The boy was dragged several feet before the wagon halted. Paramedics arrived within minutes but found Ethan unresponsive. He had sustained massive blunt force trauma to his chest and head. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office spent weeks reconstructing the incident. Key findings included: heavy rainfall days prior had turned the trail into a quagmire. The mud's viscosity was likened to wet concrete, making footing treacherous. The hayride occurred after sunset, with only limited LED string lights illuminating the path. The tractor's headlights cast long shadows, obscuring Ethan's position. The 1950s-era John Deere tractor lacked modern safety features like rear-view cameras or proximity sensors. Its large, treaded wheels made it difficult to detect obstacles. Sheriff Roland Hayes called it a perfect storm of preventable factors, adding, "No single person is to blame." This was a systemic failure. Ethan's death sent shockwaves through Signal Mountain. A vigil at the town's square drew over 500 mourners, including classmates who left baseballs and Halloween candy at a makeshift memorial. His younger sister, Lily, released an orange lantern into the sky, whispering, "You're my favorite ghost now." The farm owner, 68-year-old Harold Jenkins, canceled all future events and tearfully apologized to the Coopers. "I've run this hayride for 30 years. I never imagined, I'm so sorry." The tragedy ignited debates about balancing tradition and safety. Regulations. Tennessee lawmakers proposed stricter rules for seasonal attractions, including mandatory lighting, weather contingency plans, and age limits for volunteers. Agricultural safety advocates pushed for retrofitting old tractors with sensors and emergency brakes. Ethan's mother, Sarah, became a vocal advocate. "We assume these events are safe because they're local and fun. But one oversight can cost everything." At his funeral, Signal Mountain's mayor vowed, "We'll honor Ethan by making sure no family endures this pain again." The farm's trail, now closed indefinitely, bears a wooden sign etched with Ethan's favorite phrase, "Boo. Did I scare ya?" On a misty morning in June 2024, 34-year-old Amanda Gallagher, an aviation enthusiast and amateur photographer, arrived at Cook Airfield in Wichita, Kansas, eager to capture the sunrise over the runway. What began as a routine visit to photograph small aircraft turned into a gruesome tragedy that left witnesses traumatized and sparked urgent questions about safety protocols at private airfields. Amanda Gallagher was a vibrant, free-spirited marketing manager from Topeka, Kansas, known among friends for her love of adventure and photography. A self-described sky chaser, she spent weekends traveling to regional airfields, documenting vintage planes and sharing her work on Instagram under the handle @SkylanceAmanda. Her fiancé, Derek Mills, later recalled, "She'd say, 'Planes are like giant metal birds, you just have to respect their space.'" The couple had planned to marry in October 2024. Amanda's final Instagram post, uploaded hours before her death, showed a dew-covered Cessna with the caption, "Golden Hour Magic." Never take your eyes off the sky. Cook Airfield, a privately owned airstrip popular with hobby pilots, was quiet at 6:15 a.m. when Amanda arrived. She had permission to photograph a restored 1967 Piper Pennsylvania 28 Cherokee, piloted by 52-year-old airfield owner Tim Cook, who planned a short sunrise flight. Cook completed his pre-flight checks and started the engine. The Piper's propeller began spinning at approximately 2,300 RPM, creating a near-invisible blur. Amanda, wearing noise-canceling headphones, crouched to capture a low-angle shot of the plane. As she adjusted her camera settings, she inadvertently stepped backward into the propeller's arc. The rotating blade struck the right side of her head and torso. Witnesses reported hearing a sickening thud, followed by the engine sputtering as blood and debris sprayed across the tarmac. Bystanders, including a mechanic and 2 trainee pilots, sprinted toward the scene. Cook shut off the engine and radioed for help, but Amanda's injuries were instantly catastrophic, and she was dead the moment of collision. The Sedgwick County Coroner's Office released grim details. The propeller's force partially severed Amanda's head at the C2 vertebra, with additional lacerations across her shoulder and chest. Neurologists confirmed she likely lost consciousness within milliseconds due to brainstem disruption. Morning fog and the propeller's optical illusion appearing as a translucent disk at high speed may have obscured its danger. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, investigation highlighted critical safety lapses. Cook Airfield lacked painted danger zones or physical barriers around active aircraft. Amanda's headphones likely prevented her from hearing Cook's shouted warnings. The airfield's dim pre-dawn lighting reduced visibility of rotating propellers. NTSB investigator Mara Voss stated, "This was an accident waiting to happen. Propeller strikes are 100% preventable with basic safeguards." The tragedy left Cook Airfield's tight-knit aviation community reeling. Tim Cook, a retired Air Force pilot, temporarily closed the facility and entered counseling. In a press conference, he wept, "I've flown for 30 years. I never imagined Amanda was family here." Amanda's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the airfield, citing negligence. Their attorney, Laura Henning, argued, "No signage, no training for visitors, no protocols. This wasn't an accident. It was a failure of responsibility." Amanda's death ignited sweeping changes in small airfield safety standards, including mandatory danger zones. Kansas now requires fluorescent paint or fencing within 15 feet of idling aircraft. Visitor briefings. The FAA drafted guidelines for non-crew photography, including mandatory safety briefings and high-visibility vests. Propeller awareness campaigns. Amanda's fiancé, Derek, launched See the Spin, a nonprofit using strobe lights and drones to demonstrate propeller visibility risks. At a memorial service, hundreds of mourners released paper airplanes into the wind outside Cook Airfield. Amanda's ashes were scattered over the Flint Hills during a sunset flight organized by local pilots. Her epitaph, etched into a bench near the runway, reads, "Keep your eyes on the sky but your feet on the ground."